we got music for us?
Yeah.
I'm a
CO Halito, what up, cuz? We live.
What's happening? We live. What's happening, everybody? What's happening? What's going on? What's popping with y'all?
Yeah, we hope everybody's doing all right tonight. We're going to pick up
What's
with
happening,
part
Cousin
two.
Andy? What's happening? All right,
Yeah,
all
what's
right.
that, Anthony Hensey?
MC.
Yeah, so we got our copyright disclaimer for all the haters. You know, read that shit. All right.
Live and direct.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna pick up with part two, the true people, the real peoples of the Americas. And I had started off sharing two books last week. And I did want to look at another book, and I'm trying to find it. And I cannot find it at this time, so I found some other ones that are relevant.
Okay.
So we got this book, The Southeastern Indians. We got this one.
Okay.
And then we got this one is just talking about American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples.
Okay. That's for something for people to read because they out there calling people pretendians, not knowing that they're going against international laws, right?
Yeah, so they can read this. And these are just some references. And then this one is status and rights of indigenous peoples in the United States. So, yeah, just a recap of last week. We just talked about how many tribal nations use the names for themselves is translated as the real people and the true people. So that's why we have that on our flyer to represent the true people. Even the Caddo Hattacho has the real chiefs. Um, all these derivatives of the true original peoples. And we know that the original peoples, they look more like the Southeastern tribes of the United States, the Americas, North America.
That's right, Anthony, because you do have the right to
Self,
self-identify. That's
yes,
right.
exactly. Exactly. Now, this little piece, the status and rights of indigenous peoples in the United States, it just talks about it's over 557 federally recognized Indian tribes, which also includes the Alaska Native villages. We have the Negroid and the Mongoloids that make up this 557 federally recognized tribes, even the ones that's not federally recognized. We
Right.
must clarify that. All right,
Right.
they do have they said this is maintain a sovereign to sovereign relationship with the federal government. The 1990 census of the United States reports that just under 2 million persons identified themselves as Native Americans or American Indians, about 0.8% of the American population. And then they add in Native Hawaiians, not included in this figure. It's estimated about 200,000. 116 tribes have more than 1,000 members, with the Shalagi, they have 308,132, the Navajo 219,198. They say the largest ethnic groupings. Tribes have 314 reservations. They mainly speaking about the federally recognized, of which
Right.
278 are federal reservations. And then they just talk about the size. They speak on the Navajo, and then they talk about um, there is no such thing as a single picture of the Indian response to assimilation. Indian society today is too multifaceted for that. Indeed, it is. Some will raise the image of oil rich Indians in Tulsa or well heeled Alaska Native corporate executive. Others will see the traditional medicine men and more than 100,000 Indians who still speak their native tongues, Choctaw in Mississippi, Jalagi in the hills of eastern Oklahoma, the Navajo in the Four Corners area, even the Mongoloids, the Eskimo on the north slope of Alaska. So it's
Mhm.
just basically talking about people that still are speaking their native language and they have land allotments or reservations. So y'all can read up on this. And truthfully, you should read upon the tribal nations that are in your genealogy. Be well versed in your tribal bloodlines. But
Right.
these are just, examples because I was looking for the one books that I touched on last week that I just introduced it, but I didn't get to read it because they start fucking with my
Lot.
audio. Yeah, they start fucking with the audio. So this one is the Southeastern Indians. And let's see what they got in here. This is from the University of Tennessee Press, Charles
Mm.
Hudson. Oh, they trying to say this is a limited view. Let's go to this other one right here. These, yeah. Okay. The Indians of Southeastern United States. Let's Okay, let's see what they got in the table of contents. All right, so they got a list of all of these tribes. They got the Biloxi, the Caddo, just to name a few, the Catawba, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Chitimacha. Um, they got the Coosa, the Creek, um, Eufaula. They got the Wale. They got Hitchiti, the Homa, the Caddo, Mobile, Muskogee. They got a whole bunch. And this represents the southeastern tribes in the United States, the Americas, the Saponi, the Seminole. Uh, they even have the Washita, the Yamasee, the Yuchi. So they have a plethora of tribal nations represented here. So this is a good book reference for everyone. And they break down the culture or the way of life, like their clothing, housing, how they treated meat, preserved foods, tobacco, housing,
Mhm.
fishing, hunting, bison hunting. The clothing of women and men, work with metal, pearls, shells, jewelry, part of your regalia, tattoo, body paint, staining of teeth.
Mhm.
They got everything, pottery, um, hunting. These things that are used for hunting are also used for fishing and war. Knives, clubs, bow and arrows, blowguns, slings, shields, armor. They even have the transportation, canoes, litters, saddles, bridges. So they got just about everything. The drums, rattles. So they
Right.
got just about everything in here. If y'all want to check out this book, um, we'll just look at one tribe. Pick one tribe, cuz, and I'm gonna just look into that, and I'm gonna pass the talking stick to you. Just pick a
You
tribe.
already know what tribe I'm gonna see. You already know.
What, the Chata or the Yamasee? Which one?
Yamasee.
Okay, let's see what they got. All right, it's on what is this? Page 208. Let's see what's over page 208. Y'all doing all right in the chat? We thank y'all for tuning in. Peace to everybody.
The only person I see is because it ain't me.
Well,
That's
he's
the
the
only
only
person I
one.
see.
They only show the ones who's commenting.
Oh,
He's the only one commenting. But remember, it's other people that are in there. They just ain't saying shit.
oh,
Yeah, we got a lot of, spectators and observers. So shout out to y'all. Y'all making our views go up. We almost there, 208, I believe. Waccamaw. They got the Washita right here. Washita, a small cattle tribe which has given its name to the Washita River in Louisiana. So they recognize. All right, it said in 1700, Bienville passed through their villages located near the present site of Columbia on the Washita, but already by 1690, a part of them had left and settled near the Natchitoches or Natchitoches Indians. The French governor of Louisiana, Pierre, wrote in 1730 that they had been destroyed. They had not been destroyed, just so y'all know that. All right.
right.
The greater part probably withdrew to the Natchitoches or the cattle tribes further west. Then they talk about the Washita's population. At that time, they were talking about it was 5 cabins and about 70 men in their town on the Washita River. This was like in 1566. Um, So they just talk about the Washita. So y'all can read on the Washita. We going to the Yamasee. All right. The Yamasee, one of the provinces named by Francisco of the Chicora as existing in 1521 on or near the present South Carolina coast, bears the name Yamasee.
Yeah,
Uh,
Yamacron. Yeah.
Yamasee, and is perhaps the first historical reference to this tribe. The province of Altamaha,
Yeah,
Altamaha,
Atamaha. Yeah.
Altamaca, visited by De Soto in 1540, and then located about the eastward bend of the Okmulgee, bears the name of a town afterward called leading town of the Lower Yamasee. And we must suppose that the people represented a part at least of that tribe. They were then, in some measure, subordinate to the Hachiti. This is the Tama province, visited by a Spanish soldier named Gaspar de Salas and two Franciscan friars in 1597. A mention of them again appears in Spanish letters dated 1633 and 1639. By 1675, some of them had settled in the Appalachian country and also near the Spanish missions on the coast of Georgia. January 27, 1675, Bishop Calderon founded a mission in the Appalachian country, 1 league from St. Louis, modern Tallahassee, which he speaks of as La Purification. They tried to purify the Tama, the Yamasee. Of course, they always try
Uh-huh.
to send little missionaries and they friars in to so-called purify and shit. Then it says another named Asuncion del Porto, founded by him on February 2nd following, contained Indians of the Amacanos tribe, which may also have been the Yamasee. Is there any truth to that, cuz?
Yeah.
Okay. Writing August 24th, 1675, Governor Salazar gives another list of the missions. He fails to enumerate the La
That's
Purificación
yeah.
detail, but substitutes San Luis de Candelaria and new doctrines established in 1675, about 1.5 leagues from San Lorenzo, with Indians drawn from Tama and from the Yamasee county, it says. We may infer from this that Calderon's foundation was shortly moved farther east and given a new name. He renames this little thing he did Asuncion del Porto San Luis. At the same time, he enumerates no less than 3 Yamasee missions on the Atlantic coast. One of these on the Al de Macama, evidently Cumberland Island, served 2 native villages. The first was called Macama, containing 60 persons, all Yamasee. They tried to call them infidels, but they were all
Right.
Yamasee. And the second was Okotoki. There was a lower Yamasee town named Okiti, a league away. It has about 40 persons, and we may safely assume them to have been Yamasee also. They talking about the missions that they set up there. This is how they quote unquote found out about the Yamasee and started writing about them. All right. The
Mhm.
next mission, 2 leagues from Macama, was called Tama, and also consisted of Yamasee. it was probably on the same island, but the third mission, Santa Maria, may have been on Amelia Island. At this period, Santa Maria was occupied by Yamasee, all right, 1680. But one mission is entered on Cumberland Island. San Felipe de Alutatica, but the tribe of Indians served by is not indicated. However, it is evident that many of the Yamasee had moved nearer to St. Augustine and occupied some stations formerly assigned to other Indians, they say.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, two in freshwater province, San Salvador de Maiaca and San Antonio de Anacape are also called new conversions. So they gave these areas Spanish names, even though that they were Yamasee country. All right. That Yamasee were settled in the second of these specifically stated. At the time, Nombre de Dios, a former Timucua mission close to St. Augustine, now appearing as Nombre de Dios de Amarcarisi, was also settled by the Yamasee. So they're just naming the areas that were occupied by the Yamasee. And then they
Mm-hmm.
talk about in the winter of 1684 to 85, the Yamasee Indians became offended at some of the acts of the Florida governor and withdrew to the frontiers of South Carolina, where the English gave them lands. You mean it was already the Yamasee land and the English was there?
Well,
It said,
what
yeah, break it.
happened is, what happened is that those villages was actually Yuba'a villages, but the Yamasee actually moved in with the Yuba'a, and that's when the
Okay,
Spanish people thought it was Yamasee village, but actually that was the villages of the Yuba'a before it was Yamasees.
okay. So this area that they talking about, the Dios de Amarcarisi. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They called this town. It says it was on the west side of the Savannah River, near its mouth. A town
Mm-hmm.
called Americario makes its appearance on the Savannah River and probably contained the population of the former Amakarisi mission, the name of which appears sometimes as Makariski or Maskarasi. It is believed that this contains the origin of the name Yamakra. South Carolina documents inform us that the Yamasee at this time were divided into two sections of
Mm-hmm.
5 towns, each called the Upper and the Lower Yamasee, and headed by the Pocataligo, Polatalago, and
Puerto
out.
Calico, which
Oh,
was actually that's actually a Yuba'a word. But go ahead.
okay,
That was the name
okay,
of the village. Yeah.
okay. So it says Poco Taligo, but you said Talago, but it says
You can say tomato.
and
Tomato, tomato.
yeah, right. It says Altamaha, respectively, Poco Taligo,
Mm-hmm.
Huspa, Yoa,
Yeah.
Satkichi, Tomatali, Altamaha, Pocosabo, Chasi, Okiti, and probably Tulafina. The former
Mm-hmm.
may have included the Indians of the Amakarisi, the later the Tama proper. All right, so they are saying these are the Tama, these right here. And it says in
Mm-hmm.
1703, a tribe called the Yoa added itself to them. The Yamasee furnished 87 warriors to the native contingent, which Barnwell attacked the Tuscarora in 1711 and proved the most reliable of its auxiliaries. In 1715, however, smarting under various outrages committed by white traders and fearing that the census taken that year meant that they were to be enslaved, the Yamasee headed an insurrection against the English colonists. I'm going to read that again. The Yamasee headed an insurrection against the English colonists. They were quickly defeated by force under Governor Craven and fled to Florida, where they were received joyfully by the people of St. Augustine and settled in villages nearly along with other Indians. In 1726, 4 Yamasee missions were reported in Florida, with a fifth in Appalachia country, accompanied jointly with the Appalachie Indians. 3 missions were occupied by the Ibaha, the Wale Indians. In 1728, 1 Yamasee mission was reported and another was accompanied jointly by the Ibaha, the Wale Indians. 2 towns
Mhm.
were occupied entirely by the Ibaha, the Wale Indians. And then they talk about both of them were like in the same vicinity, right? It says there's also a mission of a town called San Antonio de la Tama, consisting of 23 persons who we are told had to come from South Carolina. All right, so these Tama came from South Carolina. Then they talk about it was destroyed by the
Mhm.
Creeks in 1725, and the Indians moved to another mission called Mose, Fort Mose. As Nombre
Mhm.
de Dios is called Macariz. It may have contained Indians of that band. All right, it's talking about, okay. In 1725 and 1728, these villages were raided by the English and their allies, and in the later year, those around St. Augustine were reduced to one by order of the Spanish governor. The greater part of the Yamasee who remained in this part of Florida seem to have retired to the Ocklawaha River and finally to have become incorporated into the Seminole nations.
And
Part
that
of
was
the
in 18 what? I mean, that was in 17 what? What
uh,
year?
1725 and 1728.
But yet they say that the Yamasee is supposed to have been extinct in 1717 and 1718.
Well, it is say
So
1725 and
how
1720.
is it that we supposed to be
Right,
right?
right, right.
Right. If
Yeah.
somebody said that the Yamasee is supposed to have been extinct. Oh, tell them how the Yamasee was extinct. Tell them how the Yamasee was extinct, how the British destroyed it. Like,
How? Because
dude,
we
like
still here.
because one of the villages got destroyed, that don't mean that destroyed the whole nation.
Right. That's just one village. And it says right
Yeah.
here, it says that
Iyoko nephew.
peace nephew. It says that they became incorporated into the Seminole nations. So some of the Yamasee became incorporated into the Seminole nations. It
But
says
how can somebody be incorporated if they're supposed to be extinct? I don't
right,
understand.
right. Is
Something
that
something is not natural. Right. How
right?
how could extinct people be brought into the Seminole Nation? But
Right.
yet, but
Exactly.
yet, but yet, you got a Freeman that talking about, oh, the Yamasee extinct, Oklahoma Freeman, right? Oh, the Yamasee extinct. Tell them how the British, like, dude, because General Craven destroyed one village, which was Punta Calago, right? But you know how many other villages there were?
Right, because it talks about the upper and the lower Yamasee, so that's only one town.
But just like say the Portocalago or the Portocaligo, that was actually Yuba'a village. Right.
Well, it says right here that the Yamasee have become incorporated into the Seminole nations. It
Look, click
says,
what cousin Anthony put. Click what cousin Anthony put. He said, "How could that be when they were mentioned in Pensacola history?" Right, right,
well,
and that was
it
after the
said it up
Yamasee
here.
war.
I just read that it said that they some of them went to Florida. So I just read that right here
Mm-hmm.
in the previous
Right,
paragraph.
right.
And so it goes on to say, let me go back here where it talks about they were incorporated into the Seminole Nation. Okay, it says the Yamasee have become incorporated into the Seminole Nations. Part of the Yamasee, as we have seen, went to the old Appalachian country from South Carolina, and later on we hear of the Yamasee bands near Pensacola
Mm-hmm.
and Mobile and along the upper creeks.
Mm-hmm.
So it
And
says
Mobile, Alabama,
band,
isn't it? Okay. All
right.
right. Go ahead.
It mentions it right here. It says the Yamasee bands were also near the Pensacola and Mobile and along the upper creeks. This last was very likely composed of those who had been living near the two places mentioned. Then it says probably two. Uh, they were the Amusas. The Amusas enumerated by Captain Young among the Lower Creek and Seminole bands on the Chattahoochee River, where Omusee Creek perhaps
Mm-hmm.
preserves the name. A list of Seminole towns made in 1823 shows that these Yamasee had then moved to Florida, where they were living at the head of the Sumolga Hachi River, 20 miles north of St. Mark's. Part of these Creek Yamasee may have constituted the Yamakra band found by the Oglethorpe, all right, on the site of the Savannah when he landed there in 1733. So earlier they was talking about 1725 and 1728. Now they talking about Oglethorpe when he landed on the site of Savannah in 1733 with these first
And
Georgia.
Overthought became the governor of Georgia.
Oh, okay. Well, he said he
And just
found
like
the.
nephew just said, they denied assimilation, but want the people to enroll in their civilized tribe. Right, nephew.
That's another
Yeah,
nephew.
go ahead, finish.
Okay.
That's
No, I'm
that's
just looking. I thought that
that's,
was nephew Wale, but that's
that's
another nephew. Okay.
no, that's yeah, that's still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now this one it says, let me go back. Okay. It says part of these Creek Yamasee may have constituted the Yamakra band found by Oglethorpe on the site of Savannah when he landed there in 1733 with the first Georgia colonists. It is to be suspected that it originated from the Amakarisi Yamasee, which we suppose to have settled in the upper towns. Most of the Yamakra Indians had come from the lower creek towns about 7030 to the savannah, and their chief, Tomo Chichi, had tarried for
Tomochichi, yeah.
yes. It said that their chief, Tomo Chichi, had tarried for some time with the Apalachicola. In
Mm-hmm.
1734, Tomochichi, his wife, his nephew, and a few of his warriors visited England and received much attention. He died in October 5th, 1739. Later, his people moved to a place called New Yamakra and finally retired to the Creek Nation. So you have some Yamasees that were absorbed into the Seminole Nations, the Creek Nations, and they are just showing you this. They are showing you this, right? It
Mm-hmm.
says the Yamasee population in 1675, Governor Salazar of Florida returned a mission by mission estimate of the number of Indians under his jurisdiction, and among these, the Yamasee, including the Tama, accounted for at this time in 1675, they estimate 1,190. Then it says in 1708, the Yamasee, then living in South Carolina, were estimated to have 500 men able to bear arms. The census of 1715 returned 413 warriors and a total population of 1,215. After they removed to Florida, it was reported that the chief of the Yamasee was placed at the head of 500 Indians to be sent against the English, by only part of these were Yamasee. In 1719, a captive reported only 60 near St. Augustine, but in 1726, the Spaniards themselves, with 313 Indians there in 1728. Let me go back. All right. Give me a second. In 1728, where is it? All right. It says 144. Figures covering the Indian population about St. Augustine in 1736 indicate that there may have been about 360 so called Yamasee, though this probably included Indians of the Wale province as well. In
Mm-hmm.
1761, a body of Yamasee containing 20 men was living near St. Augustine. But by that time, the tribe had probably scattered widely. So you had some Yamasee and the Wale living together, some of the Creeks living together, and the Seminoles living together. It says in
Mm-hmm.
1821, the Imusas on the Chattahoochee River numbered 20 souls. Mooney, now James Mooney, if this is talking about the James Mooney, he stayed with uh, the Jalagi medicine man to learn medicine recipes. I have his book. All right.
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't know if it's the same Mooney.
Mhm. It's the same one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the same one.
Mooney. He estimated that there may have been about 2,000 in all in 1650. And then they start talking about the Caddo. Now, I've looked into the Caddo because I was doing research on my mother's side. Like part of their land is Caddo land that they still own
Mhm.
today. Uh, and this is the Yatasi. So I read the part that they was talking about the Yamasee. So I'm gonna pass the talking stick. What you want to say, cuz?
Yeah, I'm glad we touched on that. And the name of that book is called The Southeastern Indians, right?
Yes.
So that's on PDF file
Yep. Yep. I
online.
they yeah they kind of blocked it on this one, but this is what it looked like right here.
Okay, okay.
Let me pull it up. This one right here.
Yeah, y'all can see that. That's for those who say that the Yamasee is extinct. How we extinct if we still here?
Right, right. And it's
What they call that? They call that paper genocide, huh?
right,
They say
exactly.
we extinct, but yet it's the same one. And then it's another thing, right? Where they didn't even much know that there was actually some Wale or Yuba'a that actually came together to make the Yamasee. So they don't even much know that.
Right. Poor
So
souls. Poor souls. They don't know no better.
they don't
But
know. They don't
we
know, but they say we pretending as though. But hey, the Declaration of Rights of the Indigenous people, y'all keep on doing that, we gonna take y'all to international court. Y'all talking about going to federal court, bitch. We gonna bring y'all to the Hague and sue y'all motherfucking ass. How you like that? You bitch, you.
well, as they
This
say,
is funny.
well. So it's interesting that this book breaks it down. It breaks it down. So yeah, this is a good book reference for y'all. Since y'all love to read books, y'all can read this book reference.
Some people don't like to read books, though. You got some people don't like to read books. They like
You
people to
want
read
people
it
to
for
know
them.
something, put it in a book. Let's see if they'll read that shit.
Put
Let's
it
see if
right there
they'll
under
read
their
that shit.
nose.
Yeah, we'll see if they read it. So we did give
Oh,
an
look what cousin Anthony said. He said, but you have to remember the creek is a broad term when it comes to indigenous inhabitants in that area. Yep, yes it is. You're absolutely right.
even the Seminoles.
Right,
Who
that's a broad term.
who makes up the Seminoles?
Right.
It's it's really a multi-ethnic what it
He
was.
said, yeah.
So these are receipts for y'all.
We ain't write it. We ain't write it. We told y'all who was here, and they wrote it. Ah
Right,
ha.
right.
They
Yeah.
mad. I can
And
smell
then,
it on them. They mad.
oh yeah, they mad,
They
and they
mad.
really mad. At the term Negro being referred to Native Americans, American
Yeah,
Indians. They
yeah, because
really
they
want
call.
that.
So what they call the Yamasee? Didn't they call the Yamasee Negro Indians?
Yeah,
And that was before slavery.
yep.
So that's another dagger, as nephew would say, dagger.
Yep, and this is a good one for y'all. Even though they do try to include Africans, but it was a small number of Africans. Most of these people they're talking about are dark skinned Indians. So this is
And
what
you got someone trying to talk about, oh, Jack before was the bone. No, that man wasn't.
what he did
Yeah.
thorough research to me because I read the shit. And I read it a long time ago, but reading it again last week, it just reminded me of the shit that they do. They revamped Negro. At first, Indian and Negro was the same thing. And then they revamped it. And they keep revamping shit. Y'all see them remix shit all the time. Even
Oh,
American, it says original copper colored races found here by colonists, basically. That's
um,
us.
and if you was to get the book, they actually have an app that you actually can have for them to read it auto book for you. So if you get the book, there's an app that you
Audible?
can open it in.
Are you talking
And
about Audible? Yeah, it's called Audible, that app.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and you all you gotta do is type that shit on YouTube. Somebody done did a a recording of the reading of that book. Yep, it says that right.
you have to be a Negro to be an Indian. That's
Yep,
the only way to be.
yep, it says it right here. It said the word black may include all Negroes, but the term Negro does not include all black persons. And then it says we
And that's
are
even a Black Laws Dictionary. Mm-hmm.
right. It says, we are of the opinion that the words white, Negro, mulatto, and black persons, whenever they occur in our Constitution, must be taken in their generic sense. That these words, black person, in the 14th section must be taken as contradistinguished from white and necessarily includes all races other than Caucasian. Yeah. And I'm going to go down part, while you talking, I'm gonna go down to the part where they say that right here it says Negro could translate as dark brown as well as black swart Negroes. The Dutch people called them this, the Spanish people called them this. And they were just talking about, even they gave an example of the indigenous tribes in the Caribbean, the Caribs. But I'm gonna go down to the part where they mention Negro Indian, where they say Indian Negro. That's what they use in this one right here. Yeah, it says it was a they were describing their Indianness. Yeah, yeah, I don't wanna. Mm-mm. North Carolina, Negroes run to New York. Yeah, I'm gonna find that where it's talking about Indian Negroes, and even touches on the mulattoes. It was talking about you had Indian ancestry and you was mixed with other things. They called them musties, mulattoes, Negroes in South Carolina. And it just shows how they was labeled an Indian, and then 2 years later, the same people was called Negroes. But first, they was labeled as a Negro on the census. They did that to whole nations, like the Gingaskin Indian Reservation. They called all them Negroes, but they was Indians because they was dark skinned Indians. Cuz you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
Oh,
here.
okay. All right. You got quiet now. You know, your ass don't be quiet.
No, I was actually texting and everything.
Okay.
So,
They
but
even
yeah,
say,
yeah, yeah, they got Negro on the birth certificate. Look, that's how you know because even dealing with Walter Plecker, when Walter Plecker took and called the people colored. So
yes.
who else got colored and Negro on their birth certificate? It sure ain't no Europeans. It sure
Exactly.
ain't no Mongoloid Indians out west. That was the people in the southeast that got Negro and colored on their birth certificate.
Well, they also did it to um in here. I believe they did that also to the Navajo because they are dark skinned Indians. They in this book they made a contrast comparison. They compared it to southeast and eastern woodlands Indians, and then they did make a reference of the southwestern ones, the Navajo, the Dene. They tried to do the Pamunkey like that, and they did the Nottoway like that, and they were registered as free Negroes in 1840s.
Mm-hmm. And then when
Yeah,
they got rid of the Negroes, that's when they became federally recognized. Oh, oop, did I say something?
yeah.
Oh,
I have this
oh,
book. Um,
oh.
It talks about the Rappahannock tribe and some of the Eastern Woodland tribes, how they told them they would give federal recognition if they did not include dark skinned Indians.
But yet they got a pan African talking about why the Yamasee not federally recognized. Like what the fuck need to be federally recognized for? Oh, you're not federally recognized or state recognized. Like why we need to give up our autonomy to become federal or state
Yeah,
recognized?
they don't understand that being autonomous means that you have your own entity of government, you have your own rules, your own policies, you live the way that your people lived. You don't fall under somebody else's shit. They don't get that. But that's been so drilled into their head. You got to be federally recognized. You got to be federally recognized. That's saying you're under the federal government, not outside of it, being autonomous, free. They don't look at it like that. Make this shit bigger. Yep, it talks about, and we've done things on Virginia. Even uh, it talked about the Pamunkey. I have some ancestors of the Pamunkey and the Patawomack, and it talks about how they tried to do this to the Pamunkey, but they succeeded with some of the Notaways. They were labeling them as free Negroes and mulattoes. They called them free Negro landowners. Um, they called them free people of colors of or mulattoes. That's when they put FN, free Negro. They even messed with the Natakoke and other tribal groups. Even it says even in parts of Delaware too. All up in the Creek Nation. And then that's when they started saying free people of color, then that's when they came up with this term freedmen. These were indigenous peoples, dark skinned indigenous peoples, and because they was dark skinned indigenous people, instead of writing that they were Indian, they wrote freedmen, taking away their rights as tribal members. And that's what they wanted to do. Right here it says during the Seminole Wars a new term seems to have been coined, that of Indian Negroes. Right here. So I read earlier, it said the Yamasee, some of the Yamasee were absorbed into the Seminole nations and the Creek nations. And this says during the Seminole Wars, a new term seems to have been coined, that of Indian Negroes, dark skinned Indians. That's what they're saying. Dark skinned indigenous peoples. It says one source, General Wiley Thompson, asserted that in 1835 they are descended from the Seminoles and are connected by consanguinity. All right. They even called the Indian Negroes hostile Negroes and mulattoes within the Seminole Nation, or simply Indian Negroes. This is for y'all to read. I know y'all see that shit. Yeah, my grandmother is listed as mulatto. Um, and some of her ancestors are listed as mulatto. So I over I overstand. But that's a mixture of Indian, and other races. And they was mad if you was mixed with a dark skinned Indian, then they will label you a person of color or a freedman because you were a dark skinned Indian. So this is racism that has been going on since they tried to colonize. And then they also talked about in the Yuchi language, the mixed people were referred to as Gashpi T'Challa, or red black people. So you got
Hey,
Indian
look, you
Negro.
heard the word T'Challa? Look, you hear the word T'Challa?
Yeah,
What was the name? What was
I peeped that. Yes, I peeped that T'Challa. I mean, even with that word you bringing that up, even with T'Challa, even when they talk about Wakanda, Wakanda is from Wakan, is speaking about the what tribe is it? I can't even think of it right now. I went to the Wakanda River here on the Missouri side and the Kansas side. Wakanda Wakanda just means great spirit, the healing waters of great spirit. And it's in the Americas. So with Wakanda, they was telling you, they was like, they was wanting y'all to read between the lines, really. If you know, you know. But uh Wakanda is what is, it's not the Dakota tribe, but the Lakota tribe. I believe Wakanyan or Wakan
that was
is
the
the
name of a goddess?
great spirit, for great spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah, great spirits waters. Cause I got pictures all on my social media when I went to Wakanda Springs here in the Americas on the Missouri side and the Kansas side. So this is where a place where they had went to do ceremony and get into the healing waters. So yep, it is in Kansas. Yeah, I made it there. They have one on the Missouri side too, but I went to the one on the Kansas side for my birthday a couple of years ago. Stone Gang. Yep. So Wakanda is really in the Americas, but anyway, but I love how they got this right in your face. It says during the Seminole Wars, a new term. It was new to these people writing about it. It was new to them. It says Indian Negroes, or in the Yuchi language, it was called Gashpi T'Challa, red black people, or Indian Negroes. So they've been writing and describing our people for a long time, and even in this, Jack D. Forbes is really talking about how the Portuguese and the Spanish people was really describing these dark skinned Indians. And these colonists kept trying to say, oh, these people was extinct so that they could take their land. That's all. If they didn't bow down, they was like, okay, we're gonna take y'all land, so y'all extinct now. Whoever that is, do they wanna come on for a few minutes?
You dropped the link. You dropped the link. You dropped the link in there.
Yeah, they could come on for a couple of minutes, and then we can open it to other people that want to join our discussion, our Sunday panel discussion. Cause tell them they can't be texting you and shitting you on live. They need to come on here. Peace, Chico. I gotta get the link. They done changed this layout, so let me find the link. Peace to everybody observing and those in the chat. We speaking on Indian Negroes. We just touched on the Yamasee, the Seminole, and the Creek, the Wale, the Ibaha. We just read some from this book source, Southeastern Indians, Southeastern tribes, and the use of the term Negro, Indian, etc. I'm
Hey,
trying to
what's
find.
up, cousin Chico? What's going on with you, baby? Yeah, we going in today because people need to understand is to be a Indian in the Southeast, you had to be a Negro. To be an Indian in the Southeast, you had to be a Negro. See, that's the problem. They thought niggas couldn't read with comprehension. With
Uh,
comprehension. You
the
know what I'm saying?
the the Nagas, the Negus. Okay.
Yeah.
The Indian Negroes.
That's why it was so easy to trying to go ahead on and put us in slavery because they were like, oh, they look like niggas, so we're gonna put them in slavery too. You know what I'm saying? Because even um the Germans anthropologists and archaeologists in them and craniologists in them said they had two type of Negroes. You had the Negro de Guinea and you had the Negro de Terra. You
Yeah,
know,
and
the
yes,
Negro of Africa and the Negro of the Americas. You know,
yes. And I read that last week. It's in this right here. I would just have to
yeah.
find. This is on page 384 when it talks about the Indian Negro, but it does talk about wait a minute, let me go over there. Where is it? Oh yeah, this is what page is this? This page talks about the Indian Negro on page 17, and they also talk about the Negro de Terra a little further
Mm-hmm.
up. I would just have to
Mm-hmm.
find it. I'm just trying to share the link.
Because you got people talking about, oh, there was no niggas in the Americas until slavery. Like what?
That's a goddamn lie.
Because look, you know where I found that at? They got that from the saying of Marcus Garvey opinions, his and everything where he said, I think that's chapter 11, where he said, yeah, there was no Negroes here until the Queen brought Negroes here for slavery. You know what I'm saying? I actually did that post on my Facebook page and everything. I was like, well, that is his opinion, so he's not smart
It
on
is
that, you know.
it is his opinion, but they listening to a man that sold people stocks in boats that didn't fucking take off. It didn't go nowhere.
The
They
Black
didn't
Star Line.
go. Yes, yes, because I have dabbled into, peeped different ideology
because
out, and I researched that shit. He did all of that.
because
Mm-mm.
because what most people don't know is that the White Star Line was the one, if I'm not mistaken, didn't the White Star Line was the one that actually built the Titanic? And he went bought a second-hand ship from the people and called it the Black Star Line.
I guess
I told him,
I
man, I took
guess
his
he
name
had plans to fix the shit up though. I guess he had plans to fix the shit up. He thought he could get enough donations for the people to fix the shit up.
But
He
all
he
that money,
he
but all
tried.
that money he had got, why he just didn't buy a new ship instead of getting the second-hand ship?
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. But
That was
hey,
some bullshit.
Yeah. So yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
I mean, my Pan African friends. I mean, y'all mean good, but hey, you
I
gotta
have,
watch who you
yeah,
follow.
because they still,
And they
are
join it, and
still
they
relevant.
join it. And look, and they join it, and they join it. They join forces with the Mongoloids trying to say that we pretendians.
And why would y'all side with people? Y'all just like y'all so misled, misled. It's okay. It's okay. I know. I used to be a part of that. I embraced that. But they couldn't get that I was also representing my Indian heritage. So I did go to a lot of meetings and everything. I helped some scholars, you
But
know.
see, but what they don't understand is that the Indians didn't have problem with the Africans, and the Africans didn't have problem with the Indians. It's just these new niggas now that got problems with us that say who we are, that we talk about
Yeah,
our admixtures. That's the
yeah,
problem.
right. And they got admixtures too. They
Right.
just they just
Ain't
are
nobody pure.
choosing
It
to
was
ignore
too
this.
much fucking going on to say people pure. There was too much fucking going on.
Yeah.
Pussy
So
and dick was being slung everywhere in the colonial times.
they was trying to
No
get them.
matter,
They was
no
trying to
matter
get
if
them
by rape
Indian women. Remember, they
or
was
not
trying to
by
get
rape.
them gorgeous Indian women, them dark skinned Indian women. They was trying to get them, and they was
Yeah,
having babies by 'em.
yeah. What you think that video falling on formation was about? Where old girl was showing about how you had the Indian women in the brothels down here in New Orleans, and they were
Oh
saying
yeah,
the girls were some pretty girls, and they call them Creole girls.
Creoles, right? That's
Yes,
why I identify with that because
yes,
it just means a mixture, just like uh Indian Negro. It's a mixture.
yes. It's a
Mulatto,
mixture.
all those derivatives.
It's like gumbo. It's a mixture.
Exactly. Exactly.
But what you need the base for the gumbo? You need that. You need
Ooh.
that. You need that root, that brown root.
Mhm.
Man,
You,
that brown root to make it look like mud water. You heard me? I
you
never saw no white gumbo.
right.
You want some filet? You want some filet gumbo? Or you want some okra gumbo, baby?
Right. Right. Which one?
No, that sheep on me. Sheep
Okay.
on me. Hey, they're not
Right.
ready for it. They're not ready.
Right. They not cuz. They not cuz.
I
And
get into the
and
French, the Spanish, and your
yes, exactly.
like my
Exactly.
folks used to say, yeah, we engines. They never say Indian, they say engine.
Right.
That's why it's a beautiful blend down here in
Yes.
New Orleans. We show the mixture. We show the mixture during carnival time.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Even this book speaks on the red black peoples.
Right,
And these are Incan people right here.
right. But they won't get mad. You can't get mad at the truth. Only liars get mad at the truth. Ah!
Right. Right.
Oh, we got to
May the
use that as a
truth,
saying. Only liars get mad at the truth.
right. May the truth set you free. Okay,
That's
people.
right. See, y'all forgot. Y'all forgot. See, y'all elders in them didn't tell y'all about the prophecy of the black eagle. See, that's the problem. If they go back and they look up the prophecy of the black eagle and the red eagle coming together to punish the white eagle. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just paraphrasing, you know.
Yeah.
They don't want to go by the prophecies no more because most of them Christians. They're not going to the
Right.
tribal
Exactly.
prophecies.
Right. They have been won over. They have bamboozled, and they are just they have neglected the spirituality and culture of their ancestors and embraced Judeo Christianity, whether that's Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. They have adopted foreign gods and concepts.
Right. And they wondering why things is happening to them the way they did. And then another thing is, why would you want to go to a colonial power and ask them to federally recognize you when they already recognize you? That's why you're in the state and condition that you're in the first place.
Right. And you already mentioned in books like that excerpt that I read earlier. It's excerpts in books upon books about us. Indian Negroes, Negro Indians, mulattoes. They talk about our admixtures. They are referring to us in all of these books, y'all. Y'all
In
just
the congressional records. In the congressional records. So how much recognition you need when it's in the congressional records?
yes, say that. Say that.
But they want you to go ahead on and become a super ward of the government.
Pretty much. Yeah. They
Look,
don't
look at the Navajo Nation. Look at the Navajo Nation, the brothers and sisters over there. Where you talk about Flint, Michigan, but they're having bad water issues over there on the reservation, and they federally recognized. What people need to do is these tribes, out of all 500 and something tribes and all that there, they need to come together and recognize one another and move autonomously without the colonial powers.
exactly.
Because what
Unity is
happens
the
when the
best
colonial
medicine
powers
for our
close?
it is.
Right. You can't do nothing on your own land unless you call the BIA. Or can we cut a tree down? Can we dig in the ground? Yeah.
You allow somebody else to be in charge of your ancestors' land.
Right.
And we did a podcast on that. Y'all can look at that one. It's an older one. The pros and cons of being federally recognized.
Right.
We pointed that out.
Right. We ain't saying nothing that's negative or divide. No, we trying to make y'all see that hey, these people already recognized you already without you going to them.
Exactly.
That's that's like you going and ask your child, oh, you recognize me as your mom and your daddy? When we was already a nation before they even came over,
Okay. Already here.
already here as governments of many tribal nations.
Yes. Exactly.
But once again, they want a piece of that sweet potato, that apple pie. They want that American apple pie,
Yeah.
right? But your cornbread and flatbread ain't good enough. Well, they had flatbread, we had cornbread. you know,
Yes. We
what
had
it ain't good enough. Yeah, they know who you are. They know who you are already.
yeah.
This is why they were trying to eradicate you.
Yeah.
Because what most people don't know is that the BIA used to be the War Department. So they know who you are because they already went to war with you already. And then by you going there and say, oh, they're like, okay, there's some remnants left over. They can still come back and try to knock you off if they wanted to. But nobody never thought about that. Why you think some of the people didn't say, oh, some of the families like, man, look, fuck the Dawes rules, fuck the Miller rules, fuck all these rules and everything. We're gonna put our family information in the Bible because they was doing witch hunts on the Indians. So what some of the family members of them was saying, oh yeah, we niggas. But like my grandmother said, the niggas got treated better than the Indians. Because when they found out you was an Indian, you got treated worse.
Yeah, and basically when we talked about like the subject of this podcast is about the true people, the real peoples of the
Oh,
Americas.
Kitty Fire said, "What if one's family Bible has been lost?" All right,
Do your
that's a good
genealogy.
question. That's a
Do your
good question because if the family Bible is lost, you always had obituaries.
Yep, that too. Yep.
Because
Uh,
I know when my grandmother had the family Bible, she had the obituaries in the Bible. And then you had other family members that had the obituary too, because it was the programs that was being passed out. And that was the old obituary before they start putting pictures in the motherfucker. It just used to say who got or who begotten who, where they was born at, and when they went to school, and all that there. Yo, yeah. On the Blog Talk radio show that I used to have, I gave this. I said you had the family Bible, you had the obituaries, you had land management, right?
yeah,
Court documents. You also had baptismal records. Um, you also had the United States Census, because you got to take that with a grain of salt, because the census takers in them, just like the roll takers, if they saw you look like a nigga, then they put nigga down instead of putting Indian. You know
you're
what I'm
right.
saying? Right. And then you got your oral stories.
Yeah, so you go off of the oral tradition stories of your ancestors, your elders. Did they tell you about the tribal nations that were in your bloodline, and you start researching from there? So,
Even the things that they did, like medicine. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and what I was saying about the true people and the real peoples of the Americas, like this book is breaking down um, what the names of the tribes mean. And we were saying a lot of tribal nations, their names translate into either the true people or the real peoples. Yes, you have other translations, but this is just talking about the different names.
And you also got to talk to your tribal elders too. You got to talk to the elders of your family before they close their eyes.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
you find their favorite child or their favorite grandchild where you can get the information from. You know, so the information is never lost.
Right. They right here have the Biogula, meaning in Choctaw and Chickasaw peoples of the
People of the
bayou.
bayou.
Yes,
Uh
you
huh.
get reference either to their location or to their totem animal, the alligator.
Yep.
They even like Biloxi is First Peoples. Caddo had a show as True Chiefs, as I mentioned earlier. All these you just gotta look at like Alabama is medicine gatherers, thicket clearers, medicine gatherers, the Alabama. So the name describes the people, like either what they did or the location where they were, like the people of the bayou, and what most likely lives in the bayou in the swamps, the alligator.
And then and then another thing is, right, what people don't fail to realize in the southeast, those products that was used to be picked or the harvest on the plantation were Indian resources: cotton, tobacco, sugarcane, right?
Tobacco.
Yeah, and rice. That was Indian crops.
Exactly.
That was Indian crops. So who can pick it better than those who grow it?
Exactly. People of different speech. Sisiloki. They have even the Chitamacha, those who have pots. They may be referring to pottery. Chula is fox. So they have all these names that describe the people. Just learn your people. That's what we encourage y'all to do. Learn who you are and incorporate it into your everyday life. Learn who your ancestors were, their spirituality, their culture. You know,
Did they have tobacco crops over there in Africa? We was over here wearing tobacco leaves. It's
okay,
smoking it,
right, right. Sacred tobacco.
right?
Even they have deities. What they call deities is just a personification of great spirit or great mystery. Like I believe it is Cahoba, where they get the Cohiba cigars from. That
Yeah,
was
the leaf.
a
Yeah,
form of great spirit, which is in the tobacco. That's why we give tobacco as an offering to great spirit in various
right,
tribal nations. So
right.
learn your people's spirituality and culture, and set the Judeo-Christianity, Islam to the side and learn your ancestors' ways. And then you can see where they got some of that Christianity shit from, because all that Judeo-Christianity, Islam is a remix of indigenous and original peoples. They had their own spirituality and culture, and then these colonists came and made their own remix of it. They got a little bit of this tribe, a little bit of that tribe, and they put it in this pot, this melting pot, and gave it to you. Change your perception of what great spirit is, and even your whole fucking identity. So get back to the
Oh, they
true
get a hold of us.
identity of yourself and your peoples. That's what we encourage y'all to do.
And even and like what nephew had put out, he put out a dagger, and I was gonna hold that as an ace in the hole, right? He had put out how that when the Muspa came, and when the Yama and the Yuchi actually gave them ceremony, right? And dealing with the green corn dance, right? Another term for the green corn dance was called the Negro dance. so so it's like, and I was like, damn, nephew, you let the big cat out the bag. I was going to
We
look, I was going to use that
we
as a
read
knockout.
we read an excerpt on about they were talking about the dances.
Yeah,
They
and
were
then
talking
guess
about
what? And
one
then
of the
guess
books
what?
about
And
that.
then guess what? Old boy that did the movie Sinners, he thought he was slick. When they had the Irish out there singing, and they show you the niggas dancing in a circle, but nobody ain't catch that. They was doing the stump dance
Yes,
when the
I saw
niggas was
that. I
dancing
saw
with the
that.
circle in the background. People didn't even much catch that. I was
Right.
like, oh, look at
Love
that.
that shit.
Me and cousin Wild Fox printed that shit out and said, yeah, most people didn't even much catch it. And look where it happened at in Mississippi, in
Right.
Choctaw or
Right.
Choctaw territory, where
Right.
you
They
had
had
the Irish, because
from
didn't
the
the Irish
first
was taken
seconds.
in by the Choctaw?
From the
Okay,
first seconds of the movie, they had the Chata Firekeeper. Stop playing. From the
right,
first seconds of the movie. So I was
right,
happy with that.
right, right. People in them thought it just was a movie. No, 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 no. He touched on it, but unless you knew the history, you'll never know. But it went
Right.
over some of the people's head.
Yeah, but that I like how they did show some of the history, that how it was written about the firekeepers. It's basically also was talking about the medicine people, and then it was talking about
From
for the
both sides of the big pond.
people, the griots, and then they was talking
Yeah,
about Irish people. In every culture, you have medicine people, you have the people that are the fire keepers, you have all these people that have their roles. You just got to learn your ancestors' culture. We walking around here, well, not me anymore, with the bastardized version, which is the Abrahamic religions. So y'all just learn your people, learn your people.
yeah, yeah. Cut the hair when you comb it, or put it in the Bible. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and burn it too. Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah. But see, but what most people don't know is that the Shattaz in them was responsible for the blues in the gospel. That's why I show you dealing with Mississippi, because who all was Shatta? You had Muddy Waters, he was Shatta.
Yes.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You had the dude who portrayed in the movie, he was Shatta. You know
Right.
what
They
I'm
kept
saying?
on talking about Mound Bayou. They wanted to go to Mound Bayou.
Right, right. They ain't catch it. We're gonna have to do a whole breakdown on the movie.
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah. We
we
can do
doing
one
that right now.
on my channel. We can do one. Yes. Yes,
But
sir.
the things that we did, they call it superstitious, Kitty Fire, but it's not
Yeah.
superstitious.
Right. That's our culture. That's where the mixture of it, they called it hoodoo, you know? So even Carundismo, all of these derivatives.
You
Yep.
know, it's just like when your grandmother had a dream of a fish, and then she get all the females in the family when they come over there to the house, and she
Yep.
said, "Come here, let me look at you."
Yeah.
No, that's not the one. Come on,
You
next.
pregnant.
No, that's not the one. Come
Somebody
on,
pregnant.
next. No, that's not the one. Come on, next. No, that's not the one. Come on, next.
Okay.
Oh, you glowing. What you mean, Momo? What you mean? You glowing, girl? You glowing? You gonna see what I mean by it. Next thing you
Mhm.
know, she already knew the child was pregnant before she knew.
Yes, yes, that's the kind of stuff that we come from. Our people was flowing in this before they was talking about prophesying in Judeo Christianity. Our ancestors was prophesying way long before that was invented.
Right. Or even when you had an elder, big mama or big daddy was like, "Oh, I had a dream of a baby dying," and then there's an elder person that's dying. And then they have a dream of an elder person that's dying. It's a baby that died. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Oh,
the swap.
yeah.
One leaves,
Oh,
one enters. Yep.
right, right. Or when somebody go to talking about you and say, "Oh, my left ear ringing," you know. The
Or
old superstition
my
things, they
hand
can-
itching. My hand itching. What that
right,
be?
right.
Them
You get money.
banknotes. Them
or
banknotes.
or, or, or your foot scratching, and not, I mean, itching, and not because of some athletic feat. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Your
right.
feet itching because you about to go step on strange ground, and that strange ground usually be a cemetery, but most people don't know about that. I mean, you go to somebody. I mean, you go to somebody's funeral. Oh, they're
Ooh,
not ready for these old Indian ways. It's
yeah,
saying they're not ready. They're not
yeah.
ready, but they call them Putindians though.
But they just got to see where all of this. They call it Southern folk magic, but they done gave it many derivatives. But it has dark skin indigenous roots. All these quote unquote superstitions and things that we hear in the Negro Indian household in our communities. They done gave it all kind of other names, but it's saying the same thing.
Right.
Here, when you're talking about the hair, Pensacola is the Choctaw word for hair people. Apparently, the men wore their hair at full length. This is for the Pensacola.
You took stretching sticks, heat that stick up, and everything. That's where you get your hot comb from. When you took you put that fire stick on your hair and everything, and you stretched it and make it look all long and pretty, or how they call it a blowout.
Uh, right, right. Blow out the silk press. The silk press, nigga.
Right. Everybody talk about bear grease, but yet we use goose grease.
Okay.
Everybody
Yeah.
want to talk about bear grease, but we use goose grease to do that for the hair. You know, or you take that lard from that pig and you put it in your hair and straighten your hair out.
Yeah.
Old Indian ways, baby.
Yeah.
But we supposed to be pretending. It's okay.
It's in our DNA. It's in our blood. It's
Right.
in our DNA. It's in our blood. You can't take what's in my blood. It's here. It shows up in my genetic markers.
Anybody got any more questions?
Any comments? I did leave. Didn't nobody never come on, but I did.
Put the link up there. Put the link up there again, cuz. Drop the
I
link again.
I did, but last call, last call, last call.
And then, and then, and then you get people talking about, oh, the Indians in them, they got drunk off of alcohol and stuff. We ain't never drank no alcohol. Bullshit. It wasn't the whole tribe. It was the medicine people that had the alcohol.
Sacred inebriation. That
Right,
is what
right,
that is.
right,
So, of course, you're gonna have people that abuse shit, no matter where you came from. It's gonna be some people that abuse the shit. Well, that's when they like, oh, that fire water got them gone. But people abuse shit, so y'all gotta overstand that. It's people that use it for sacred inebriation, and then people use it to get drunk, fucked up.
right. What you think? What you think moonshine is? Moonshine is corn liquor.
Tell them
And
again.
then it
Cause
did it did you took the moonshine, which was the reason why they call it moonshine, because when you took the corn liquor, you set the corn liquor in the moonlight where it could get I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say y'all not ready for that shit. Y'all not ready for that. Y'all
nah,
not ready for that.
nah.
For those
Tell
for those
us.
that know how to sit their
Tell them.
crystals at night in the window, they know what it's for. They know
Yeah,
what it's for. For those that know, they know. What what
exactly.
look look how you say it? Oh, well, one note on needs to be explained. But that's
Right.
why they call it
What's
moonshine.
understood don't need to be explained.
Right. Was understood don't need to be explained. That's right. That's right. They call it fire water for a reason. They
Yeah.
call it moonshine for a reason. Why they took the corn liquor and set it in the moon?
Hmm.
But we pretending is though. Okay, okay, y'all don't know who y'all talking to in this live.
Right. There are old books that describe us, and we are still here. We are still here.
Right.
You can't be mad because we still here. We are the descendants of our ancestors. We still here.
And that's more than 7 generations.
Hey, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
More than 7 generations.
Anybody got any comments or questions over the material that we covered tonight?
How are my Negro Indians doing today? Tonight. Yes.
Right, right.
They only thought Negro was Africans.
Yeah. How y'all doing?
But if you really look at it, maybe it's not a bad thing to say African American. That's an admixture.
No, that is an admixture, but hey,
Oh,
it's to each
Kitty Fire said, what was the purpose of those liquors?
healing and going into the spiritual realm. Sometimes people want to jump on in there
That's
fast.
why they call it spirits. That's why they
Spirits.
call it spirits.
Exactly.
Right. They'll call it spirits for nothing. But you got
Hmm.
to know how to hold that spirit. Like they say, you got some people that don't know how to
You want to protect yourself too.
handle that liquor, because when you got that spirit in you, you can actually be taken over. You got walk-ins, you know.
Yeah. You better be on it, and hopefully it's only your ancestors that's speaking through you. And don't be
And
trying
then another,
some shit that you
look,
don't know about.
you had moonshine, and then you also had rum, because that's another thing. Rum come from sugar cane.
Sugar cane. That's right.
Come from sugar cane.
That's
They
right.
don't know about the corn magic and the sugar cane magic. They don't know nothing about that. See,
It's
these are
okay.
the places
It's
that y'all
okay.
not ready for.
Okay. We'll have to school them a little bit.
Yeah, we got to give them a little bit of that. And then you got people talking about, oh, they know they being witchcrafts and sorcery. Man, look, if you don't know how you think some of the battles was being won, it just wasn't always physical might. It had the spiritual people doing what they had to do in the background.
Even Google is giving you a glimpse. Spiritual drunkenness, sacred inebriation is what I put in. You got spiritual drunkenness, sober inebriation, divine inebriation, drunken humans. Several different, not just indigenous people, but other people tapped into this, you know? So just so y'all know. Just a example for the person who spoke on that, who asked about it.
Because even at the green corn ceremony, you had to take the truth elixir.
And that's hey, they got some other truth elixirs. There's some other truth elixirs too out there.
You drank that, and everything is gonna purge you, and everything gonna make you run to the creek and take a shit, and you gonna throw up and everything.
Yeah, maize, maize, and the cactus. I mean, tequila, mezcal. They got poke. Have you ever had poke, Chico? Is it's a sacred drink. It's like between tequila and mezcal, you have poke. That's used for sacred inebriation too. Yep, and y'all see, well, I done trimmed my hair before, but I ain't ever just like chopped it
Yeah,
all the
because
way.
Anthony, you
I done
cut
cut
your
it.
hair and look at you now. I gotta fuck with you.
Mm-mm.
You should never cut your hair at 16. Oh, oh, shoot. Oh, oh.
You had mezcal. Yep. Um, okay. I like mezcal and tequila. Um, I've done some. I've dabbled in some things.
Hey,
Spiritual aspect.
remember
Cheap.
in the movie? Remember in the movie Poltergeist, where the daddy was drinking that with the worm in there, and that worm came out his mouth. Remember?
Yeah, but he was a non-indigenous person tapping into stuff. They
Yeah,
did they didn't know what the fuck he was doing. So that was the repercussions of that shit.
right. But remember, we had to go see the medicine man, huh? And the
Yes, he
medicine
sure did.
he had to go see the medicine man. People forgot about Poltergeist. Oh,
Yeah,
Poltergeist. Yeah,
they used to
Poltergeist.
be on shit back
Yeah.
in the day. And that was one
Yep.
of my favorite parts when he had to go see the medicine man. When the medicine man came, and then when that little lady came, those was my two favorite parts.
Yay. Don't go in the light, that And then
Oh,
all the while, she was with the Mormons when they came across the truck wagon trail in Utah,
yeah.
and they were talking about the end of the world was coming, and she escaped. So that's
Mm,
why that preacher came back. Diane, this place
yes.
is his holy temple.
Yeah. And they
Diane,
got a lot of our records.
yeah,
They got a lot of our records. Because
yeah. The
they
Mormons
know
had
who
a lot
we
of records,
are. They know who we are.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, White Lightning. That's right, White Lightning. Yep. That lightning made fire water. They would say catch lightning in the jaw. That's what they were talking about. Catch lightning in the jaw. Sure, this like one of my favorite shows now. We going into the spirituality of things.
You know I love that shit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
peyote. Yeah, peyote. And
yeah,
also ayahuasca, right?
yeah,
That's for the Kawatali. That's our first thing. That's our first medicine. You know,
yeah.
ayahuasca.
This is the poke from the agave plant, which tequila is made from the agave plant too. And
And
this
the
is
agave plant, you also can get the sweetener from the agave,
yes, you sure do.
but you gotta let it
Ferment.
ferment the sugar. Yeah, so magically sweet. Which moon? You already know what moon it is.
Mhm.
When they say, "Oh," "Oh," I let the wolf answer that one. You know what moon it is. "Oh." Yes, Lord. Tequila and rum are used for ceremony purposes. Yep, yep. And it's also used for cleansing, right?
Yeah,
With the back.
we just had the ripe corn moon, which is Guyi Guanoni. Guyi Guoni. That's the ripe corn moon in July. And that's in the Jalagi. Since y'all was talking about the moons.
Mm-hmm. It's for medical purposes and spiritual purposes.
Yep.
Because if you remember, I don't know if you ever heard an older person say, "A drunken person speak a sober mind." That's when the truth come out.
Yeah. And even absinthe. Have you had some absinthe?
What you say, cuz?
Have you had absinthe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's another one. Well, you have absinthe and moonshine.
Why you think they was calling the alcohol, like they say medical alcohol? That was the first medical alcohol before you had white rubbing alcohol and green alcohol. That was the first alcohol. And that alcohol was used to make tonics. Yep.
Yeah. Anybody got any more comments or questions? We gonna shut it down. Yep.
Yeah, Kitty Fire said, yeah, that's what I mean, spiritual and no, um,
I think
Yamwana, Yamwana.
yeah, that's the ripe corn moon.
Mm-hmm.
Since we were talking about corn liquor, etc. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. That's what we just had that what this week.
Yeah, it was full too.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yep. This deals with July's full moon, deals with the first foods or the new planting and roasting ears of corn are ready. Towns begin to cycle festivals, dances, and celebrations of thanks to the Earth Mother and the apparitioner. Unet La Nuhi, or given. Um, in the old times, this was the traditional time of the green corn dance. According to
Mm-hmm.
Chalagi or festival, a common reference to this moon is the first roasting of ears of corn, sweet corn moon. This is the
Mm-hmm.
customary time for the commencement of the stickball games, traditionally called Ani Statusti, Little War, today known as lacrosse.
Right,
Stickball
the Battle of
dances
Red Wall. Yeah, the Red
festival.
Wall. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and I don't know. I don't know if y'all can see it. I got my book. This is like my daily word when I practice my some of my tribal nations ancestors. I practice some of their ways. So this is speaks on the feast of days. So and it's also
Yeah, that black drink. That's what I was talking about earlier. Cuz that's what I'm talking about. Will make you go to the bathroom.
yeah, and you call it the truth serum too.
Yeah, the truth elixir.
Yeah, truth elixir. It's also the Salu Wani. Salu is the represents the feminine aspect, uh, the corn mother, the corn maiden. So yeah, Chico know what's up. All right, cuz we can close out. What's up?
What y'all thought about the show tonight? What y'all thought about the show tonight?
Yeah, y'all be back next week to have our Sunday panel discussion with us. And I'm gonna share the link again next week. I shared it twice this week, but um,
And y'all have your questions ready throughout the week that y'all think about, or whatever topics y'all want us to touch on. You know, this is the people show. It's we
yes,
the people show of the
right,
South.
right, right. We share the talking stick sometimes.
Right.
So remember, y'all can refer to the books and that we shared and your tribal nation's history, do your genealogy, find out who your people are, and look at their spirituality and culture and apply it to your everyday life and take it to the next level. I'm out, cuz.
All
Peace.
right. All right. Peace, everybody.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's share. Let's
Huh?
share. Wait a
What
minute. Let's
happened?
share this. Let me share this before we go. Well, hold on. Hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna share this, and then we gonna ride on out. Share this. We're gonna if y'all want to support us, y'all can, check out our merch, etc. Let me pull it up. We have our own store, etc. All right, this is our store. If y'all want to support, y'all can check us out. The link is in every description. It's on all our social media platforms. We got the green corn ceremony. We give reverence and respect to our ancestor ceremonies. So you got green corn attire, merch. You can wear this during June and July. Late May, June, and July, you can wear this. We got our classic design and our other design with the talking stick on there. One is kind of animated, and the other one is like an original talking stick. So y'all can just choose which style y'all like best and support. Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate y'all.
Oh, you welcome. You welcome, cuz. You welcome.
Oh yeah, no problem. Wado Yukoki, Shonabis to everybody who tuned in and who will tune in later. We
You
see y'all
too. See y'all later.
next next Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Peace.
Peace.